Hello everyone, this is Professor Hill. It's a short video for our class, Introduction to Ethics Philosophy 2306 here at St. Philip's College. This is the online Summer 1 version of the class. Today is Thursday, the 28th of June, and we've got 1 week to go. So this is week 4. We're going to finish next week in week 5 with our final exam. We had an assignment that was due last night, Wednesday night, and I'm working on those. Sorry about that. Trying to stay ahead of the grading curve here. I know some people have had some questions about the last assignment, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and the final exam. But those are the last two things we've got. And some folks are already closing this out. Some people have got their assignment for Sunday night, the July 1st one, already up and done. And they're just working on their final exam and trying to get those things finished as well. So, like I said, a week to go. Let me talk about Sunday night and our last discussion. And the discussion for Sunday is around Cassandra C. And as you'll see when you read the case study, it's similar to the one we began with, which was the Jenny Lake case that we did at the beginning of the month. And that was about a 17-year-old girl who found out she had cancer. And as you recall, during the course of her treatment, chemotherapy and radiation, she discovered she was pregnant, made the difficult choice to stop her treatment so that her pregnancy could continue, even though it ended up costing her her life. She put aside her own treatment for months to allow the baby to grow, develop, be born. Chad Michael was born healthy, and she passed away 2 weeks later. The story about Cassandra C., or Cassandra Collender is her name, which we can talk about now that she's an adult. Turns out that it was a similar situation in that she was diagnosed with cancer. But in kind of a twist, she decided also, like Jenny Lake, not to take any radiation or chemotherapy treatment. And the doctors were like, well, hold on a minute. Why is that the case? And she says, no, listen, I've been looking at this, researching this on the internet, and it looks to me like, this chemotherapy you're talking about is poison. I don't want you putting poisons in my body. And the doctors were like, well, okay, but you understand that it's designed to kill the cancer, and it's the best treatment we have, your best odds. Her case, she had a different type of cancer, which has very high survival rates with the chemotherapy, but again, very low if you don't do anything at all. And so the doctors are trying to explain all this to her and why she needed the chemotherapy. And she's like, no, I forget it. Well, that's when, again, her being 17 came into play. Because they were like, well, look, in all honesty, it's not even really her decision. It's her mom's decision. Because she's underage. So we'll go to the mom, get permission to make this happen. They go to the mom, and the mom's like, oh, no, forget it. Who do you think told her about all these great websites on the internet? And I agree with my daughter. It's terrible. It's poison. You're trying to kill her. And the doctor's like, no, look, it's chemotherapy. Anyway, the doctors then did an interesting thing. As you can see in the case study, the doctors were like, all right, the girl said no, she's 17. We turn to the mom. The mom says no. But now we still have some options. And they're like, what options do you have? If the patient says no, they were like, the patient's 17 years old. We're going to go down to child services. We're going to say we have a parent who's making decisions that are endangering the life of a child. And that's exactly what they did. And Child Protective Services was like, okay, let's go in there and take this minor away from her parent and turn her over to the hospital. And I got to tell you, there's an interview I'll post a link to where Cassandra talks about that. She was actually at home by herself when the police and the Child Protective Services and the doctors and the whole world descended on her house. And they came in and they got her, took her out of there, took her into custody, took her away, removed her from her parents, sent her to the hospital, and started the chemotherapy against her will. Now, I got to tell you, a lot of people saw that, and they were like, oh, my gosh. This is horrible. This is the state forcing someone to do this medical procedure. And the fact of the matter is, the judge that reviewed this case, because there are websites out there that talk about the medical kidnapping of Cassandra C. And I'm like, okay, first of all, it's not kidnapping when it's the state intervening for, again, the standard, which is the best interest of the child. What are we going to do as a society to protect children when they're in families who are endangering their health and safety? The answer is take them away. Now, they took her to the hospital, confined her there, began the treatment, and they ran this whole course of treatment, chemotherapy. At the end of it, she's better. She has Hodgkin's lymphoma, is the type of cancer she had. Well, what happened was it goes into remission. She's better. She turns 18. She's like, now I'm out of here. Now that I'm an adult, legally, I can say no to you folks, and I'm gone. Well, then, so she takes off, and doctors say, well, don't bother to thank us. It's okay. And but then what happens later is, of course, that's not where the story ends. There were lots of people that were outraged. And you got to remember, look, if this had been an adult, if this had been, an autonomous, mature citizen and adult, we let those people, the patients, make decisions about medical care. The doctors make recommendations. They say, this is your best odds. This is what we can offer you. But we do have a patient-centered healthcare system where, again, you can refuse treatment if you're talking about yourself and you're an adult, and the consequences are for you. You can't do it for a child if you're talking about life-threatening decisions. And these were decisions which the court said, yeah, no, without the chemotherapy, it's gonna, it's not just that her health will be impaired or she'll be a little sick and get better. No, she's got cancer. She's gonna die. Well, anyway, she turns 18 and moves back with mom. But then guess what happens later? Yeah, the cancer comes back. Now this time she's 18 and she's like, sorry, I'm not going to do it. And she gets sicker and sicker. She tried some, and you can see this in the materials, she tried some alternative medicine and herbs and oriental, and it didn't go well. Until she got so sick that she was like, okay, you know what? It actually worked the last time. I'm going to go back and see the doctors and start the traditional Western medicine, the chemotherapy. But it turns out that she had let it go pretty long, and she's quite ill. Which brings us up to today. She's still quite ill. Still trying to use traditional medicine as best she can as available, although the doctors now are not optimistic because she waited so long to start it. But she's in a relationship with a guy named James Dowd. They're apparently living together. She's still alive. She posted on Facebook yesterday. She posted this little bit. You can find her on Facebook, Cassandra Calendar. It says, adult life may be full of pain and suffering, but at least we don't have to do PE anymore. So she's got a sense of humor. And there's pictures there about, her and her life. And listen, I wish her well. But there's lots of big issues running around in here, not least of which is the whole initial question about the doctors seeking a court order and working with Child Protective Services to remove her from the home and to force treatment on her when she was underage. Respecting that now, but there's all this kind of stuff about epistemology and how we know what we know. There's lots about conspiracy theories and how people get duped by stuff on the internet. There's lots kicking around in this particular story. But I'm curious, again, don't get me wrong, I feel bad for Cassandra. I wish she had, when she relapsed as an adult, I wish she had immediately gotten the care that she needed. I hope the care she's getting now gets her cancer back into remission. I do think, though, it's a sad and tragic tale, and but we focus in on the doctors, not necessarily her decision making, but the doctors and their response. Do you think it was appropriate, inappropriate? Uh, it makes a difference that she was 17 and very near the age of maturity, the age old enough to make your own medical decisions. But she wasn't there yet. She wasn't 18. This, of course, was a big factor back with Jenny Lake. If you remember, we talked about the fact that the mom says to Jenny Lake, "What do you want to do? Do you want to continue your treatment, knowing it'll terminate the pregnancy? Or do you want to stop that, knowing that you'll end up dying?" And her response was, "I want to stop my treatment." And her mom said, "Okay." And I think what happened was Jenny was thinking, this was my decision and I made my own decision. And I think her mom was thinking, I want to get Jenny's input, see what she wants, and I support her desire or wish, but it's still my decision to make. And they were on the same page. That could have got a whole lot more complicated if they had split. If Jenny had said, "I want to stop my treatment," and her mom was like, "No, absolutely not. You're gonna continue it." That's where that would have gotten tricky. And it's kind of the conflict we have here is between the girl, the minor, her parent, the mom, and the doctors. And like I said, the cops, Child Protective Services, the courts, everybody lines up with the doctors. Is that where you line up? I'm curious. I'm interested to see what you think. So look forward to the discussion due Sunday night. Keep working away on those final exams. I'm here working on it now, and hopefully I'll have more for you soon. If you got questions, let me know. I'm also almost caught up with the inbox. I'm getting there as well. Hang in there. Like I said, we got a week to go. Take care, and if I can be of any help, as always, let me know. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.